You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today I'm very excited about our guest today. They have been working in the trenches of online marketing, advertising, and sales since 2010. In recent projects, he's helped one of his clients generate over $6 million in sales in less than 5 months with consulted selling techniques. He's also converted Google ad clicks for $2 into consumers with a lifetime value, that's an LTV, of over $60,000. He and his team has worked with companies doing over $3 million or more in annual revenue to help businesses grow, scale, and profit by partnering with the Cerebral Partners for their online marketing and advertising needs. Please put your hands together for my guest, Anthony Franck. Anthony, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Super stoked to be here.
Okay, so I gave you this nice long-winded intro, and I'm pretty sure everybody was like, wow, that's really amazing. But who the hell is Anthony? So Anthony, can you just give us a quick introduction in your own words?
Yeah, so been doing marketing and advertising since 2010. Before that, I was a carpenter in the union. Before that, I worked for In-N-Out Burger. So just when I first started my career early as like a young kid out of high school, worked for In-N-Out for 7 years. We opened a bunch of stores for them, and then moved into the carpentry business. So I was a union carpenter for about 7 years. And during that time, it was all great. It's like, oh, I got the cush job that pays $30 an hour and you get the weekends off and you're done by 2:00. But then the '08 economy crashed. And so when it tanked, it was like, oh, I better go figure out something new to do with my life that isn't dependent on the economy. And that's when I shifted into, well, I should probably do something online, digital. And I went back to college and I studied digital media, advertising, marketing, and sales, and began a website agency. We started with SEO. Mentor that taught me called me up one day and offered to have me teach classes with him as like the junior assistant that would manage the camera. And we did that for a while. And then at the end of the curriculum, where it was like 8 weeks or 8 classes, and then you've learned everything you needed to know, he asked the audience, what do you guys want to learn? And they said Facebook ads. And at the time, Facebook ads was just beginning. It was like 2015. It was really hot. And I had studied a bunch of the Facebook ad courses that were out there from like Dr. Ben Adkins and Don Wilson. And we were getting success with it with the clients that I had. So we taught this Facebook ads lecture. And then it just kept going and going. It was like, oh, there's other things to learn besides SEO and Facebook ads. And just over a decade of time, pretty much accumulated the skills for anything you can think of that falls under the sales, marketing, and advertising umbrella. And over the years, we've had a lot of great vendors that work for our clients. And then probably about 3 years ago, we started partnering up with our clients. So one of my vendors that ran a lot of our Google ads for us became my partner. And that's how we formed Cerebro Partners. And then instead of going out and putting people on a retainer for $6,000 a month to run their stuff, we discount the retainer and we partner with the clients so that we're their agency partner. And then we make our money on the back end based on the results that we get their business through sales from advertising, other stuff we do with them.
I like that. I like that transition. Like you went from being like most companies, the retainer, to being like, you know what, we can do better if we are connected. We're a partner because then we want to see you get better because that means our paycheck gets better. Instead of saying, hey, $6,000, whether you do good or not, we're still getting paid. And I find that like going into the partnership is like where it's more beneficial. It's a real win-win-win situation for everyone involved.
Yeah, what we've found is our interests are way more aligned because their retainer is not going to change my life. Like we already make plenty of money as an agency. So it was more about like, hey, let's partner with the clients so they're more committed to what it is we're teaching them and doing with them so that they get the results they're going to want to get. And it's not going to cost them an arm and a leg on the retainer side because they're more motivated to the fact that we're going to have our interests aligned. We make our money, majority of it, on the back end. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we bring you sales, we help you grow, and then we get to participate in the. So it works out a lot better all around because then it saves them money on the retainer that they can spend on ads anyway.
Yeah. I love that. I love that switching to a more win-win situation for everybody involved. I want to know, like, when you were starting out doing the SEO course, and you said you were devouring the Facebook ad courses that were being put out there, did you notice any kind of like similarities in those courses and what you were teaching with the SEO?
So my mentor was teaching the SEO class. I was there learning as well as assisting him, kind of a thing. But by the time we had started those classes, I had already been doing SEO with him for some of his client projects. That's a funny story. So I saw him speak at like a meetup event, and he was talking about how to do YouTube SEO. This was in like 2013-ish, 2014. And I just kept hounding him after the event, like, hey, I'm selling SEO services. I have a vendor that I use, and I would love to learn what you know because you seem to know way more than my vendor does. And he looked at the stuff that I was doing, and he's like, you should just tell that vendor to cancel. You're putting your clients' websites at risk. They're doing a bunch of gray hat stuff they shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, if you're saying that it's garbage, then just show me how to do it the right way so that I'm not selling people garbage. And he's like, yeah, get out of here, kid. You're bothering me. I just kept persisting with him over and over through email, through calls, through text messages. And after about 6 months, he finally came. He's like, look, if you really want to learn this stuff, come down and meet me at the Starbucks and we'll talk about it. So we sat down at the Starbucks and we talked, and he's like, why do you want to do this? Yada, yada, yada. And by the end of the conversation, he's like, all right, if you really want to learn, come over to my house right now and I'll show you how to do something. So I was like, okay, cool. So he sat down and he showed me how to properly optimize a post for one of his clients that happened to be in like the bankruptcy niche, for a bankruptcy attorney. And so he's like, you understand how it works now? I'm like, yeah, I think I get this. He's like, okay, great. Here's this spreadsheet with, 600 lines of keywords. Go ahead and write 600 articles and then call me when you're done. So I was like, holy crap. Okay. I went home. I was still in college at the time, and just every free chance I had when I wasn't doing anything for the college classes, I was just working on like doing those articles that he asked me to make. And when I was done with it all, I called him up and I'm like, hey, I got that done for you. I emailed you the spreadsheet so you have access to it. And he's like, you actually did it? Like, no one does it. It's like, but none of them do it. And I was like, no, I did it. He's like, all right, let me check your work and I'll call you back. So he looked and then he called me back. He's like, you made a mistake here. You made a mistake here. Go back through all your work and catch and fix your own mistakes. So then I went back through and I fixed the mistakes. And then I sent it all to him again. I'm like, hey, I did that for you. And he's like, oh, it's no big deal. I built that client a brand new website anyway, but at least you got some practice. That's when he's like, if you want, I'm going to start teaching a class about this stuff. I've already taught you a majority of what's in the class. Why don't you come and be my junior assistant? And then anybody that wants to do business with us, you can make some money and so can I. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. So then that's how we started that meetup class. And that was awesome. You just learn so much and you meet a lot of people. It was a really good event. Plus everybody in the town was like, who's this guy, Chaz, who's filling the room with like 50 people to learn this SEO stuff that everybody wants to know. So it was all good. How that compared to the courses from learning Facebook. At the time, Facebook was hot right now. At that point, 2015, ads were new. It was like the Wild West. You could do so much. And the course that I first took was the Facebook Ads Cracked course that Don Wilson had. And it taught me a lot about, at the time, if you ran like ads, then you could get your page visibility exposure really high. So you would just run really simple like ads at that time. Like, if you love dogs, like my page and things like that. Let me go get for a pacifier real quick.
No worries, no worries.
Sorry about that. At the time, it was like, yeah, you run like ads, you get visibility, and then you start building up all this engagement on your page. People are commenting, then you're always showing up in their timeline and their Facebook feed. And that's how you kind of build your brand. And then you get to the point where you start making offers and selling those stuff. And then shortly after that, conversion ads came out. And Dr. Ben Adkins was like a G at the Facebook stuff. So I bought his course and I learned a bunch of stuff that he was teaching about conversion ads and, strategies for retargeting and how all that worked and making sure the pixels set up correctly. And both of them were tremendously impactful. It got to the point where I was so good at Facebook ads, I was kind of known in town as "you're the Facebook guy." And that was dope. I loved it. I was like, yeah, I'm the Facebook guy. What do you need to know? Because a lot of people just didn't know what they didn't know, especially back then.
And still today.
Probably, right? Eventually it got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm just going to make my own Facebook ads course that shows people how I do it. And so I made a course, I call it Facebook Squared or FB Squared. And I taught it at like the local college, and we did a launch. And then right after we launched, Facebook changed the entire interface of how the ads platform worked. And I was like, well, that sucks. I just spent like 6 months building this thing. And now none of the course module videos are going to match up with what you see when you log into the back end of the ads manager. How crappy is that? So I was like, I'm not making courses anymore. That kind of sucks. And I just kept going as like, hey, I'm the Facebook guy, I'm the SEO guy. You guys know me as that. And that was cool for a while. But then when the ClickFunnels movement happened, it was very much like, oh, everybody in the Ty Lopez SMMA course wave happened. It was like everybody and their mother is an SMMA agency, right? So being the Facebook guy was no longer like beneficial because there's like everybody wanted to go hire somebody that was charging them 3 times as much, who just bought the course from someone else, and they're supposedly the expert, but they don't know anything about this stuff. And or most of the time they didn't. And so then it was like a rocky road for a while because it's like, oh God, like I can't just be known as a Facebook ad guy anymore because now there's a bunch of people that want to call themselves a Facebook ad agency, and it was just like, man, that's like here nor there. And so we just kept on going as like, hey, we're a marketing partner. But at the time, we weren't partnering with the clients the way we do now. We were just like, hey, we're a marketing agency and we can help you. And we worked with all kinds of different businesses from there. It's like anything from like a mom and pop to a franchisee to companies that were doing at the time, maybe like as much as 20 million. Like we had a dog college we were working with. They were doing about $19 million a year. And we were doing really well with their Facebook before the whole flood of people came in to become agency owners and SMMA companies and stuff like that. And then it just kept growing from there. And it got to the point where we started to realize, like, you know what? The best people to work with are really the ones that have all their stuff together at the highest level. Let's start working more with them. And so we started working with like a lot of the known names in the industry, behind the scenes, and we'll just take whatever position that they had available, whether it was they're hiring for their team or they're looking for a vendor to do it. And we would just start getting those kind of clients. So I signed one up from like a live event I went to. I talked to them about what they presented on stage and what they didn't present that had to do with their SEO and if they knew it or not. And they said, no, we don't really know that stuff. And it's like, cool, we could probably help you. And we signed them, and then we signed another one. And before we knew it, like 4 or 5 years had gone by, and we'd worked with several like top name experts that you're probably on their email list, and all in different capacities. Like for one of them, we did turnaround calls. So when somebody calls to say, hey, I want to return your course. Then you get them on the phone and you explain to them like, hey, here's what you're looking to do. What is it that you want to achieve? And then they tell you, and you're like, okay, this is the part of the course you need to be focusing on. That's going to help you get there. And you prevent them from wanting to ask for a refund. Some of them, it was for copywriting. Some of them it was for SEO. Some of them we ran their YouTube ads. It's just many, many different opportunities to work behind the scenes with the top experts. And you learn a lot behind the curtain. Like, okay, here's how this company operates their business in order to make millions of dollars from their email list. And every one of them has their own different systems and strategies and process in which they do that. And none of them really use the exact same thing. But yeah, so learned a ton there and just kept on going from there.
I love that. I love that you're just constantly learning. I think that is the key point when you're an entrepreneur, and especially in the digital field, because it's like you said, it can change within an instant. Like Facebook, you had your course ready to go, and then Facebook was like, we're going to change it without even telling anybody. And then all of a sudden the course is useless. You put all your heart and soul into it, and then 2 days later it's gone, and you feel that vapid, that necessary disappearance. But learning from all these experts in these different fields of how they run their business, you get to pick and choose what aspects of these businesses that you like, and you make your business nearly perfect. What has been one of the lessons that you learned from some of these amazing entrepreneurs and business owners that really stuck with you?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. One of the big lessons I learned from Alex Charfen is if you're an entrepreneur, you're not alone, you're not broken, and you certainly may seem like you have this thing that you don't understand quite so good, but I guarantee if you start following him, he will teach you more about yourself than you probably know. That was a big one. That was an eye-opening. Another one was that not all these guys that are making hundreds of millions of dollars or even tens of millions of dollars online run their business the same way. And they would probably hate me saying this, but most of the time what they're teaching you on the webinar is not how they grow their business. It's just a small little fraction of one thing they might be doing. Generally speaking, the best of the best in the industry, they have an incredible team behind them. And they all have a role. Each player on the team has a role. And the visionary or the person in charge of the entrepreneur that's the known name is often the one driving the vision. But there's a lot of people on their team that are getting all the other minutia and all the sprockets and widgets moving and turning and gears rolling, and keep all that running smooth. Another big lesson I learned from Christian Michelson was try to build the perfect plane before you ever get it out on the runway and see if it can get in the air. Build it as you fly.
That is one lesson I think most entrepreneurs learn when they start going, that they try and do it perfect before inside the hangar, nothing's will work. You have to shoot off the cliff and build as you go. And that's the only way you're going to get it flying.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the only way, but it's certainly a more effective way than sitting around in analysis paralysis and trying to like tweak every little thing. And the branding people out there hate that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want you to like core down and have the most beautiful, elegant branding in the world. And their whole core belief is without a great brand, nothing can grow. But the reality is like there's plenty of ugly ass websites that make millions of dollars on the internet, and they're designed that way with intention, right? So there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. Like there's more than one way to approach something.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just like you're doing right now, you could either go the retainer route, which is perfectly fine for people. You can do the win strategy like you, or you can do the one-off payments. There's so many different ways to create the world you want to live in, and it's just your choice. I would
one other thing on your last question there is like the one-off payments is a lot harder to sustain your business. You want to find some way to have recurring income. And you want to have some kind of referral program where it's like, hey, they already love you. They've already bought from you. How do they recommend and refer people to you? So, yeah. If at all possible, don't just sell a one-off product that has a one-time purchase and then never again, because then you're extremely limiting your ability to earn as a company, and you're also limiting your ability to grow and hire more people and stuff like that, unless you're charging like a really good rate. that's like, 5 to 6 figures for the one-time fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to have some kind of recurring income, some form of that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. When you're starting off, the one-offs are okay, but you want to get them to the recurring income as soon as possible so that you're not stressed, because everybody remembers not getting those recurring incomes and every month being like, can I pay bills?
Yeah, it's far better to sell them a system right out of the gate. Like, you could frame it for them where you're like, hey, normally when we work with our clients, it's this. Normally when we work with our clients, it's $2,000 a month. And what you get is XYZ. Based on the conversation we had, it sounds like that's a fit for you. Is that something you want to move forward with? And then they're like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, okay, cool. Now you have them on a monthly retainer. The way we do it now is normally when we work with our clients, it's $6,000 a month for the retainer. What we like to do is partner with the clients so our interests are more aligned. Then we reduce the retainer rate to $1,500 a month, and that'll save you $4,500 a month that you can spend on ads to grow and scale your business. And then we make a percentage on the back end from the sales we bring you, that kind of a thing. So again, it still has a little bit of a retainer built in there, just nowhere near the significance of what the market would charge them.
And you coming in under the market, and people love that even more because it's like, yeah, I'm saving money that I can put towards other expenses and make my business grow. What is one memory that you have, either of something you were able to achieve because of your business, or you were able to see a win for a client that really meant something for you? Do you have a memory of either one of those?
Yeah, so consultative selling is something I love to do. Consultative selling is all about asking questions, gathering information, finding solutions through peeling back the onion. And then if you can solve those problems that they're addressing, then you can pair those problems with a solution and make a sale. So consultative selling is something I learned in college. It was in the sales 101 class in the business department. And my mentor was super smart, or she is super smart. She's been doing it for decades. She went to Harvard. She worked with all the biggest brands in the world that you can possibly think of. And she did what's called ZMAT technique. So it's like they ask people to go make a vision board of what the brand means to them. And then they show up and talk to them in depth about that in like an in-depth analysis conversation. And one of the things they taught in the class was consultative selling, where it's like, look, if you go out there and you speak with somebody, you ask the right questions, you gather the right information, you can sell without being a salesy person. Like, you don't have to be somebody that's like a boiler room salesperson or a hard close salesperson. You can simply be someone that helps solve problems. And then it takes away the stigma of sales. So I've loved consultative selling ever since then. And it's done really well. Like, that's how we grew our business. One of our clients, I'd say 2020, but like December 2020, they asked us to go run a contract for them up in Santa Cruz. And we ran that contract for a year and a half. In the first 5 months, we did 6 million in sales, all consultative selling. And it was cool because the client was like, oh, we'd be happy if we had 40 trucks a day working on the project. And pretty soon we had them up to like 110 trucks a day working on the project.
Wow.
So we 3X their vision of what could happen on that project. And we did it all with consultative selling, right? So talking to the contractors, figuring out what they needed, figuring out where their pains were, and then solving those problems for them. Eventually, within a few months, it got to the point where you're literally the urgent problem solver, right? Somebody has an urgent problem. They pick up the phone and call you, and you solve the problem. And they're like, okay, cool. Now that you solve the problem, send me more trucks. And it just worked really well. And a fantastic client because they have their business well put together. Small team of, I think, 7 at the time. And we did, over 6 million in 5 months. And then the contractor liked us so much, they just continued to work with the client over and over. We just kept selling them and selling them and selling them more trucks. And we got to the point where, like, within a year and a half, they had crossed that $10 million number. But they were already a $50 million company as it was. So for them, it was just another, day in the park. But for me, it was exciting because I fully controlled all the sales for that project. And we used consultative selling to do it.
I love that.
Later on, when the project slowed down, we sat down at their office. I was like, what are you guys doing digitally that I know that you're not doing that could be beneficial to the business. And so they're like, well, we have this marketing company that we've been paying $3,000 a month. We've been at it for 6 months, but we haven't gotten any customers. I'm like, that's not the way digital marketing works. Not at all. Like 6 months, 30 grand a piece and nothing. It is like nothing. Okay, that's a problem. So it's like within a week, we rebuilt their whole website. We turned on all their ads. We set up all their call tracking, and we started generating sales from them. And then as the calls were coming in, we started fielding the calls and adjusting the sales script so that when the whisper says call from Google, they know, hey, don't just answer the phone like it's your typical regular customer that already knows, likes, and trusts you. Go through this script and close them. And it only took about, 40 calls to get to the point where we've adjusted the script 5 or 6 times. And we had it to where we could just one call close them. So on the inbound, we could close them before the call was over, rather than having to hang up, take their number and name and call them back. Because when you're dealing with Google traffic like that, that's somebody that went to Google, searched for a problem they have, they found you, and you need to solve it. Otherwise, they're going to keep looking for someone else to solve it for them. You never want to let them go with like, let me get your name and phone number and we'll call you back. Because then they're just going to keep finding other people while they're waiting for you to come back with the number. So we got it dialed into where we were closing on the one call inbound, and it did really well. And that was the campaign where we had one of the clicks that we paid for was $1.86. And the guy came in and ordered $30,000 worth of product. And then he was a contractor. So he came back another time and bought another $30,000 worth of product. And then he came back a third time and he bought some more. So minimum 60,000 LTV on a slick that cost $1.86. So big wins.
Those are some big wins for both yourself and the client. Those are some big wins. And it's a testament to what, how you were able to go from having a callback down to being able to close some people on a one, like the minute they call in, because that is sometimes difficult to get that one call close from some of the salespeople I've talked to.
It depends on the niche, right? Every is different. Like for them, they were selling direct to contractors. Most of the people calling were a homeowner that just wants to buy the product and have it installed. And they didn't do the installation, which is another thing you can learn from ads. Like, hey, 90% of the people calling you are saying, I'd love to buy the product and I also need it installed. And you're like, we could sell you the product, but we don't install it. It's like, go acquire a company or partner with a company that does the install and your sales will exponentially increase, right? So it's kind of the same idea there. It's like, look, most of the people calling are these homeowners, but when you get the contractor who called, now he's worth way more, 100 times more than the homeowner to the business, right? Because most of the homeowner contract orders might be between $700 and $3,500, but the contractors, they're ordering $30,000, $40,000 worth of product.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's a great testament, and it shares, like, it's something to learn. Like, they probably didn't know they were going to get more calls from homeowners than contractors, and now they know, oh, we have another line of business that we can open up, or we can partner with a contractor, or we can partner with contractors across the country that can do this business for us. When we get the homeowners, like, yeah, we can send it to you, and we'll send you a contractor. We'll set up a contractor to install it for you. That's solving more problems. My God. Nothing but a problem solver. I love this consulting, sales, solving problems. It's like you said, it's
selling. It's awesome.
It's the best. I have a final question to ask you. Actually, no, I don't. It's not the final question. Screw that. I'm gonna ask you another question because you're full of tips and tricks and stuff. So I want you to help us out here. For those business owners who are looking to maybe spruce up their website or maybe get their ads better, would you have a tip for them that they could maybe start implementing today to make sure that they're doing better, so they're ranking higher on Google, or their click-through rate is a bit cheaper than $100 a click?
Yeah. So every niche is different, right? The clicks all cost different amounts. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday, they had a real estate business. Their cost per conversion is between $300 and $400 per conversion. So it's like expensive, especially when the industry standard for that same conversion was like between 80 and 120 6 months ago. So, and that's partly because if you go to a mastermind and the guy on stage says, you should be running pay-per-click, and 4,000 people in the audience all go home and say, we got to start running pay-per-click, you're driving the market rate way up, right? because Google knows who's bidding what, and they know how to sell it for the most they can. But getting back to your thing, if you're the entry level, or like if you go to a bank and you say, hey, I'm a business, they're like, what size business are you? If you're under 50 million, they just classify you as a small business, right? So if you're in that range where you're a small business or a micro business or a mom and pop business, and you're buying ads on Google or Facebook or Instagram or any of these kind of places, the number one thing you have to have all your tracking set up properly and in place, because you want big data working for your business. What does that mean? Well, it's simple. Google owns a bunch of products that you need to have accounts on that are all connected correctly. One of them is your Google Analytics, which just changed over to GA4. So if you're on Universal Analytics, that no longer works. Now you need to have a Google Analytics 4 account. One of them is your Google Search Console. You need to have your Google Search Console connected. You want to have your Google Tag Manager connected, especially if you're running ads. If you're running shopping feed ads, you need to have a Google Merchant Center in order to do that. You want all these things connected properly. And there's more. There's many more things I can list off. You want your Facebook ads pixel connected properly throughout your assets. You want to make sure that all your conversion tracking is in place. These are all things that my team can do for you. They offer a free audit where we'll look through all your stuff, make sure it's connected, set it up for you so that it all works. But you want that stuff in place because that's how you get big data on your side. Big data does not care where the traffic comes from. They just want to put the cookie or the pixel or the snippet in the right place to indicate to them, this person made it to this page and did this. This person took this action and they haven't taken this. That's how they can go do a best job for you in the delivering and presenting the ad to the right people that are likely to convert. Another thing you want, especially if you're generating click-to-call leads, you want proper call tracking in place. If you don't have the right call tracking, how can you report back to Google which ads were good leads and which leads were not good leads? There's no way to do that, right? So you need those things in place. Even for somebody that's like, well, I don't do much online. I buy billboards, I buy magazines, I send out flyers, I do door mailers, I do, every door delivery, email, physical mail postcards. It's like you can still have tracking numbers on all those elements that you can report back to yourself. This ad or this postcard or this flyer did really well. And we know because we have a tracking number on the flyer or on the ad or on the whatever that indicates to us that this is where the lead came from. So it's no longer like that 1980s, 90s ad agency mentality where it's like you could, your ad, like the saying would be like, your business advertising works. You just don't know which half of it does. But now you know everything. If and only if you have all the right tracking in place, then you get big data on your side, because Google doesn't care if the traffic came from Instagram or Facebook or a Google search. They just want to make sure they know Tom, Mary, and Jack all landed on this page. This is their IP address. Every one of them clicked the button at the top and they all landed on this page. And then none of them filled out the form on the second page. So then the data tells them, hey, this is what's working. You had no conversions. And then you as the advertiser can see that, or you as the company owner, if your advertising team knows what they're doing and they're transparent with you, which most are not, right? They want to hide that information from the customer. But if they're smart like we are, it's like we're transparent with the client, then we could say, hey, look, it really doesn't serve your business to send them to the homepage so that they can click a button to land on another page to fill in a form, when the reality is we could just send the traffic right to the form page. Okay. Or another example of that would be like, it really doesn't serve your business to pay for click-to-call ads to send that traffic on the phone call to your auto dialer system, that when it answers, it's like an automated reception. Thank you for calling business. If you want to talk to someone, press 1. If you don't want to talk to someone, press 2. It's like, you don't need that, right? You need somebody on the phone that can pick up the phone within the first ring or less immediately and just talk to the person who came in from the ad and solve the problem. if you can't make those kind of adjustments, then you're always limiting yourself to how well ads will work for you. If you don't have the tracking in place, how could you go back and tell Google that lead you just sent me was terrible? I don't want more people like it. You can't, right? But when you do have it in place, it's as simple as clicking a thumbs up or thumbs down. Hey, this was a good lead. Send me more people like that. That's how we were able to get that guy who was the contractor, because Google had seen, hey, we'd sent enough people to you. You've told us who was not a good lead. You've told us who was a good lead. Then they're like, hey, this guy's a good lead. Let's present their ad. And then boom, he clicks it. And then we report back, hey, that was a great lead. That guy just bought $30,000 worth of stuff. Then they're like, cool, let us go find you more people like that. So but you can't do that without all the tracking in place. Otherwise, you have all these unknown missing connections within the spider web of what's going on the internet. Because all these websites don't know every little thing, but they know enough. And the more data you give them, the more they can learn, and then they can be more effective at advertising your offer. Another thing is you need to have your remarketing and your retargeting working. So like for Google, it's remarketing. For Facebook, it's retargeting. Instagram, retargeting. If you have a decent volume of traffic to your website on a regular basis and you don't have all the right tracking in place, you're missing out on the opportunity to go advertise to people who have already raised their hand and visited your website for far less money the second time, right? So if you're going to go buy traffic on Google search for XYZ keyword phrases, and then they land on your website, and then you don't have remarketing in place to go follow them around the internet to remind them that they came over and looked at your ad and they wanted more of whatever it is you had, do you have a deal for them? Or you don't have a video on Facebook that follows them around and say, hey, we noticed that you came to the site, but you didn't convert to a demo. Why didn't you book a demo? Like whatever that is, you want that stuff in place, because then it tremendously reduces your advertising costs by having remarketing and retargeting. Even if you're not running ads to find the customers, but you have a bunch of people coming from social media and from articles that you wrote onto your website, you want remarketing and retargeting to go advertise to those people so that you stay front of mind, so that you can sell them something. Another great example of it was like the messenger bot phase, like during 2017, 18, messenger bot was hot, right? Facebook Messenger bot, ManyChat, any of those kind were really good. So my partner Warner and I made a little ad, said, hey, if you want 2 raises for $19, tag someone you know and claim your coupon. And so they were all tagging people on the Facebook post, someone else that they would want to bring and race with at the go-kart racing. Like that one ad generated well over 6,000 appointments of people that either came in with a screenshot or a piece of paper to buy 2 races for $19. So you're literally acquiring the customer for less money than it costs to get them just by having an ad in place. And then when they come in and buy, they're paying you, the company, to become the customer. So what they spend, it costs you less than the ad was. It's what we would call self-liquidating advertising, right? You have an offer that's so good that when they come and buy from you, what it costs you to get them to click on the ad and become a customer is less money than they're spending to come to the store and buy whatever they're buying. And that's a huge win. And then you take that list of people that have already been there, and then you load it back up into Facebook, and you could say, hey, show me all the other people that I don't know exist that are just like these people that came and bought. So that's remarketing and retargeting. And that's also, setting up variable and custom audiences.
My God.
Which is all powerful stuff. You could have no ads at all running, but maybe you have a business with 5,000 customers over the last decade. You could take that email list of all those buyers, or phone number list of all those buyers, and you can load it up into Facebook, and you can make a variable audience. Hey, tell me all the people I don't know exist that are in my market in this region of the country that are in this age range, and show them an ad, but only show 10% of the list I gave you. Find me the other 90% that I don't know exists. Right? You can make lots of those. And then you can have Facebook working to use big data to go identify, hey, you've got Tom, Dick, and Mary, but here's Jill, and she's just like them. She buys the same things they do. You just never had Jill as a customer before. Let's show Jill the variable audience. So you definitely want to have that kind of stuff in place. And again, If you don't know anything about this, if it's all over your head, no big deal. That's why we're an agency partner. We're happy to do a free audit on your tracking, check your ads account. A lot of the time, what we find is there's a ton of wasted ad spend. So like there was a lady we worked with maybe 7-8 years ago. She had started her Google Ads account in like the early stages of Google Ads. And for over a decade, she just let it run with whatever she had started it with day one. She never changed anything. I put my team in there, and within 3 months, they 4x the amount of results she was getting, and they reduced her ad spend by like 60% because she had all this wasted ad spend on the wrong keyword phrases. So advertising is not a set it and forget it method. That's like a foolish way to do it. Unless the agency you're working with doesn't want to spend the time to really get into it, and they're just selling you a cookie cutter service where they just throw up an ad and that's what you get and that's what you got. Like that's not the one, right? So yeah, it's all about the leverage, the tracking and understanding. And again, a lot of people don't know this. If you don't understand all of what's possible or what's out there, how can you make the best educated decisions how to spend the money, right? Like we worked with this guy at the beginning of the year, IT guy. We had him set up with some ads and we got his website built and we got his call tracking in place. And then he calls me and says, I want to run billboards. I want to run magazine ads. I want to do this and that. It's like, I wouldn't recommend any of those things. But if you really want to do it, go right ahead and do it. I would just say, let me design the ad for you. Let's make sure the call tracking's in place so that you actually know whether or not you ever got a customer from that building or whether or not you ever got a customer from this magazine ad. And of course, when they don't listen, then it bites them in the ass. Then 2 months goes by and he's like, well, how do I even know if I'm getting any customers from that magazine ad? It's like, well, did you use the call tracking phone number we gave you? No, I just used my cell phone number. Well, it's like, okay, then how can we help you? Like, can't help you if you don't want to take the medicine, right? So it's all about having those things in place because that's where you get the leverage. And then you don't have to know everything you can and can't do. You just need to have the right people that are partners with you to help you execute this stuff because they know what you can get.
I love that. And we are coming up to the end of the episode. So I'm going to get the final question, which is, you're talking to your 10-year-old self. What single piece of advice are you going to give your 10-year-old self?
Discipline is important, and so is persistence. Probably the most important thing would be, have confidence in yourself. Because without that, like it's all going to be difficult. Anything else somebody wants to tell you or sell you, it may or may not apply to you. You don't know where you're at, so know who you are, be confident in who that is. And as a 10-year-old, figure out what it is that you really like to do that is going to reward you, and surround yourself with the right kind of people. Because when you're around the right kind of people that want to help you win, all tides rise together.
I love that. I love that. Anthony, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to tell my audience where they can connect with you because you're the go-to guy for advertising in my books. So please let them know where they can connect with you and how they can get that free audit.
Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Franck. Super excited to have you here, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the episode. If you want to connect with me or become a Cerebro partner, we'd love to have you do that. Just head over to secret2billions.com. That's secret2billions.com. Fill out the application on the page. Just let us know about yourself. It's a couple quick questions, and then we'll reach out and schedule a time to talk with you. The other thing you can do is join the Discord community. We're there to answer any questions that you have. It's Q&A support community for entrepreneurs and business owners and executives. So if you're somebody that has questions, whether it's for advertising, marketing, sales, clarity, whatever that is, you have a question, you need to pick somebody's brain about something, you're curious, you want to know something, you want a free audit, whatever that is, go over to secret2billions.com/Discord, join the Discord community, drop a welcome message in there, let us know who you are, what you do, and ask your questions in the appropriate channel. We'll be happy to answer them for you.
Awesome. Anthony, I can't thank you so much for coming on the show. We're finally recording this episode after a couple missed opportunities, but I'm glad we were, because the knowledge you just dropped is like, I'm amazed because I didn't know half of this stuff, and I'm like, okay, time to sit down and learn some more from my good friend Anthony. So I can't thank him enough for.
Yeah, it's a real partner, man. I'd love to help you.
I am definitely going to be joining that Discord because I know there's probably more gold in there than ever in the hills before.
Yeah, I'll even give you guys an open loop. In there, I posted a thing called the AI Advantage. It'll teach you how to replace your Facebook ad agency with a piece of software that takes only 3 clicks to run your ads successfully. It teaches you how to replace your SEO agency with a simple prompt and a little bit of training so that you could have a VA or somebody on your team doing your SEO, and you're not going to need to be spending $2,000 a month for an SMMA and $2,000 a month for an SEO company or more. You just replace them all with technology. It's called the AI Advantage. Anybody that joins the Discord automatically has free access to it. And there's plenty more in it.
Well, there's a great open loops and a great thing to finish the show on. So thank you, Anthony, for that. And of course, to my audience, check the show notes down below for all those links to get into that free Discord so you can use these tools to replace some big expenditures in your business. So Anthony, again, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to continue talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
And to my audience, remember to always invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.